This is the Start Combat screen. Here you can select ships and fleets, and move them around in the deployment zone. Ships in a squadron will move in formation. They are currently in a column formation, so they will move in single file. You can change the formation here. The fleet will then move into the new formation. Squadrons are listed here. This fleet has 2 squadrons. You can move ships between squadrons. As well as create new squadrons. Or combine the 2 squadrons into one. You can click here to change the facing of the ship or formation. When you are ready, you can click here to start the battle. Let's get acquainted with the basics. While in combat view, you can pan around with your camera, as well as zoom in and out. You can also move the camera and refocus on the selected ship. You can give the ship a move order. The ship will move to that point in the sea. The ship can also turn. It will keep going in that direction until it is otherwise commanded. While the ship is moving, you can also steer the ship. The minimap shows the location of your ships and any spotted enemies. Enemies only spotted on radar will appear here but may not be visible in the main view. You can zoom in and out, and move the camera around on the minimap too. You can also give orders to ships on the minimap by using the command wheel. To adjust the ship's speed, use the throttle. To fire available guns, you can either select them on the card at the bottom, or open the command wheel to select all the gun batteries. The firing arcs for each gun battery are shown on the minimap. Firing in an arc will see all available selected guns that are in that arc, fire in that direction. You can change the elevation of a gun battery. This can be useful if you wish to target the deck, or aim for less armored parts of the target. You can also change the ammo type for each gun. If your ship is equipped with torpedoes, you can select the torpedoes to fire, either on the card at the bottom, or by opening the command wheel and selecting torpedoes. You can change the torpedo spread. This will reduce the firing arc and the number of torpedoes used, as seen on the bottom ship card. At minimum spread, the weapon will fire a single torpedo instead of a salvo. You can also speed up time. You can give a ship a separate order. This means it has left its formation. You can click the rejoin button to return to formation. Below the formation icon is the fire at will, and for certain ships, the launch combat aircraft icon. With these turned on, ships will launch planes and fire their guns or torpedoes without you giving orders. To give an order to a squadron, select the squadron bar and open the command wheel. If you want to return to the campaign map without finishing the combat, you can either select retreat or auto-resolve. Mousing over them will give the odds of retreating unscathed or winning the combat. For instance, you are more likely to successfully retreat if you are faster than the opponent or out of their gun range. To recap this video, click on the tutorial icon at the top to see a full list of videos covering topics such as different weapon and ammo types, launching planes, and special orders. This is the Start Combat screen. You can move around the Atlantic campaign map. as well as zoom in and out. All the fleets under your command are listed here. You can choose between the different fleet types. The currently selected fleet is shown here with a breakdown of its composition. As in combat view, you can split the squadron, change its formation, and even create a new fleet. Once you have selected a fleet, you can give it orders. From here you can order a fleet to move to a point, or set a patrol route by holding Shift, while you click to set the patrol. Clicking the fleet's icon highlights the list of current convoys under your control. The resources coming from North America are vital to the war effort, and these fleets must be protected. Convoys can be ordered to collect or drop off cargo at a port, but once underway, they will operate autonomously. Selecting a convoy will show you their route and estimated time of arrival. You can also attack an enemy fleet. If it is the last known position of an enemy fleet, your fleet will head towards the last known position. You can also follow a fleet. Open the command wheel and select Follow. You then click at a distance from the fleet. The fleet will follow and remain at this distance. You can launch planes from the campaign map. Select the point where you want to send the flight. Open the command wheel and order the flight to move to that position. The range of this flight is marked on the map by the circle. You may speed up time on the bridge, up to 200 times speed. At the top of the screen is the information critical to the war effort, showing current supplies, food, and recruits. Recruits can be turned into personnel in ship and installation creation, and agents are used in espionage. The counter at the bottom shows when more resources will be produced. Clicking on this icon shows you the current objectives that need to be completed. You can view the statistics of your ship or plane by clicking on the eye on the ship bar. To recap this video, click on the tutorial icon to see a full list of videos covering a range of different topics. Carriers must turn into the wind to launch aircraft. The wind's direction is marked on the sea. You can select a flight of planes, or hold Shift and click to select multiple flights of the same type of aircraft. Payload size can also be changed as long as the flight has more than one bomb per aircraft. You can then select the target and press attack or defend an area, as well as intercept aircraft. You can directly control the flights, as well as manually drop bombs. Adjusting a plane's speed and altitude can help to avoid AA gun flak. Using an aircraft speed boost is a good way to outmaneuver enemy aircraft. Depending on what type of payload an aircraft has, will determine their approach to a target. For instance, torpedoes require the aircraft to fly lower to the surface of the water. While submerged or in bad weather, submarines can be spotted through sonar, and when researched, radar. It is advantageous to reduce speed. Louder engines and bad weather can seriously affect submarine hunting. The different colors of the speed bands reflect how hard it is to spot a submarine. The red speed band means sonar isn't usable. In the yellow speed band, sonar has a penalty. When a submerged enemy is detected, its last known position will be shown on the mini-map. Sonar has a limited range and can be temporarily evaded by a submarine. Only ships with depth charges, or hedgehogs, can damage submerged enemies. When spotted, you can order your squadron, or individual ships, to attack the target. To manually attack a submerged vessel, select the depth charges or hedgehogs. These can be set to different depths, as submarines will try to evade you by submerging. The firing arcs for depth charges and hedgehogs are shown on the mini-map. When surfaced, submersibles are faster and may use their deck guns, but are more vulnerable. There are two types of torpedo to choose from. Proximity torpedoes deal more damage than contact torpedoes, detonate slightly sooner, and are more difficult for the enemy to spot. However, they have a higher dud chance. You can order a squadron or lone submarine to attack a fleet in the same way as other shipping. An undamaged submarine can submerge. At periscope depth, the submarine can fire its torpedoes but is easier to spot by ships. At crush depth, the submarine will be harder to spot, but if a depth charge finds its target, the added pressure will cause critical damage. Oxygen and battery levels will deplete while diving. In order to recharge them, you will need to surface. You can rig the sub for silent running. This is a special action available to all submersibles, which will for a time give a bonus to stealth at the cost of speed and disabling all weapons. If the submarine needs to surface quickly, you can blow ballast. You will not be able to dive again after. To regain the ability to submerge after blowing ballast, you can spend a repair point on the submersible subsystem, or return to a shipyard and repair. If the submarine needs to submerge rapidly, you can crash dive. The firing arcs for the torpedoes are shown on the mini-map as well as through the periscope. Torpedoes have an arming range. If it hits the target before it is armed, it will not explode. Manually firing torpedoes will see you switch to the periscope view if at periscope depth. Use the slider to bring the ship into your firing arc. You can change the torpedo spread. This will reduce the firing arc and the number of torpedoes used, as seen on the bottom ship card. Press L to lock onto a ship. A yellow ghost image of the ship will appear on the minimap. This shows the anticipated position and trajectory of the ship at its current speed. Aim for a point ahead of the ship's current position, somewhere near the ghost image. Click to launch torpedoes. The ship card allows you to select individual weapons. Their firing arcs appear on the mini-map. If you have vessels that are capable of launching planes, you can also launch them from here. The bottom icons cover the ship type and name, as well as the vital systems, speed, types of ammunition, and special orders. Depending on what vessel you have selected, will change the ammunition types. The options are armor-piercing shells, which have a bonus to armor piercing but deal less damage than high-explosive shells, and star shells, which increase visibility at night. Some guns are dual-purpose, meaning you can switch them to anti-aircraft mode. The level next to the ship type denotes how experienced the captain and crew are. The more experienced they become, the more abilities the ship will be able to utilize. The vital systems can be damaged and will affect the ship's performance. Depending on the ship's level, they will have repair points that allow you to target specific areas that are damaged. Repair points are regenerated when docked at friendly ports. Special orders cover things like creating smoke and disabling radar. With radar on, you are more likely to be spotted, while it does affect your ability to spot enemy vessels if you turn your radar off. It will make it harder to find you. Creating smoke will create a barrier that makes visibility of ships through the smoke impossible without radar or spotter aircraft. There are other unlockable special actions that are available as the ships gain experience in battle. The ship card allows you to select individual weapons. Their firing arcs appear on the mini-map. The ship card allows you to... In order to conduct intelligence operations, you need to build an intelligence station. Head to the industry icon, and if you have sufficient supplies, select Build. If you mouse over the Build button, you will see how many supplies you need. The station will take time to build, depending on level. You can order the construction of multiple buildings in a region. Once one building is finished, construction of the next building will begin. The construction icon will start to rotate once construction has begun. Make sure you have enough power to run all the structures. You can build more power stations or click on the power icon next to a structure to turn its power off. Once more power is available, the structure will turn back on. Once you have built an intelligence station, you can head to the Intel icon. Depending on how many agents you have, you can then start to specialize them. Assigning them to Intel security will help prevent enemy operations. Assigning them to espionage will help you gather information about enemy movements and structures. Agents assigned to sabotage will attempt to sabotage enemy installations and vessels. Success will depend on how many agents you assign to each category. Remember, the enemy is doing exactly the same thing. In order to conduct research, you need to build a laboratory. Head to the industry icon, and if you have sufficient supplies, select Build. If you mouse over the Build button, you will see how many supplies you need. The laboratory will take a certain amount of time to build, depending on level. You can order the construction of multiple buildings in a region. Once one building is finished, construction of the next building will begin. The construction icon will start to rotate once construction has begun. Make sure you have enough power to run all the structures. You can build more power stations or click on the power icon next to a structure to turn its power off. Once more power is available, the structure will turn back on. Once you have built a laboratory, you can head to the technology icon. There are different categories to choose from. Some will allow you to upgrade existing structures. Some will allow you to build new vessels, and some will let you build new weapons. How long it takes will depend on how many laboratories you have built. Under Industry, you can select different cities and view any structures. To build a new structure, click on the Build button next to the structure type. You can order the construction of multiple buildings in a region. Once one building is finished, construction of the next building will begin. The construction icon will start to rotate once construction has begun. Make sure you have enough power to run all the structures. You can build more power stations or click on the power icon next to a structure to turn its power off. Once more power is available, the structure will turn back on. If you have done the research and have the necessary supplies, you can also upgrade structures. It is important to keep track of your power requirements, as some upgrades require more power to run. In order to launch bombing raids against enemy structures, you need to upgrade your airfield to level 2. If you have done the research and have the necessary supplies, you can upgrade the airfield. Click on the shipyard icon and select a shipyard. Click on the icon below to open the shipyard window. Click on a ship type to see the ship details, as well as the cost and time to commission. If you can afford it, click Commission. You can queue multiple ships for commissioning, depending on level. Click on the airfield's icon and select an airfield. Click on the icon below to open the airfield window. Click on an aircraft type to see the aircraft details, as well as the cost and time to build. If you can afford it, click Build. You can queue multiple aircraft constructions, depending on level. Only upgraded airfields are able to utilize bombers. To build a farm, click on the Build button next to the farm. Select an area to build the farm, take into account raids by enemy aircraft. It might be advantageous to build some anti-aircraft guns around it. You can order the construction of multiple buildings in a region. Once one building is finished, construction of the next building will begin. The construction icon will start to rotate once construction has begun. Make sure you have enough power to run all the structures. You can build more power stations or click on the power icon next to a structure to turn its power off. Once more power is available, the structure will turn back on. To recap this video, click on the tutorial icon to see a full list of videos covering topics. In order to start an amphibious assault on a location, you need to first build landing craft. Select a shipyard. Once you have enough landing craft, select the fleet. Then open the command wheel over the target and select amphibious assault. You can do this with several fleets, and the amphibious assault will not begin until all fleets involved have mustered at that location. An enemy ship has been spotted. Click on the enemy ship and select Attack. You can speed up time here. The window that appears gives you different options. View on map centers the screen on the chosen battle. Auto-resolve will decide which option is best. If the fleets can attack each other, they might. If they think they could win, however, they may retreat. The sneak past option will attempt to resolve the battle with little or no combat. The enemy fleet may have different ideas. For now, select Enter Combat. Click on the objectives icon. Clicking on this icon shows you the current objectives that need to be completed. For now, select the Build Farm objective. To recap this video, click on the tutorial icon to see a full list of videos covering topics. Small warships such as destroyers have passive sonar, with which they can attempt to spot submarines hidden at periscope depth. Some ship classes are better than others at detecting submarines via sonar. Once active sonar is researched, the sub-hunter trait also greatly increases the chances of detecting a submerged target, and allows for detection at a longer range. Some submarine classes are more stealthy than others. Submarines with the silent trait are even more difficult to detect. Non-military ships and larger warships have no passive sonar, and can only spot a hostile submarine while it is at periscope depth, and only at an extremely close range. Aircraft carrying an anti-submersible payload can also detect submersibles at periscope depth. The speed at which a ship is moving can affect its ability to detect submarines. At speeds in the yellow band on the throttle control, sonar has a penalty against detecting submerged targets. Faster classes of ship have a red speed band. At these speeds, engines are so noisy that sonar cannot detect submarines at all. Submarines can enter a deep dive, to become undetectable by passive sonar. Ships with active sonar are able to detect submarines at all depths, but submarines are significantly more difficult to detect in the deep. Submarines in a deep dive are also unable to detect surface ships without the use of active sonar. A submarine using active sonar has an increased chance of being detected. Active sonar and active radar may be switched on and off, using the toggle at the bottom of the screen. A hidden submarine will always give away its current position when firing torpedoes. Due to their small silhouette, there is also a penalty to spotting surface submarines at night. Aircraft carriers can be set to use a combat air patrol. With a combat air patrol active, the carrier will automatically launch fighters to maintain a defensive pattern, screening against incoming enemy aircraft. With a carrier selected, click the cap button to toggle its combat air patrol on and off. When you order a fleet or aircraft flight to attack an enemy fleet. If there are multiple types of ship in the enemy fleet, you can choose which enemy ship type should be prioritized. If the resulting combat is auto-resolved, the prioritized ship type will be targeted to the exclusion of others by the player's units, with other ships being targeted only after the prioritized targets are destroyed. If your aircraft are attacking a large enemy fleet with capital ships surrounded by a screen of destroyers, the prioritized target type also determines how likely the aircraft are to be hit by AA. If attacking destroyers, only destroyers will be able to hit your aircraft with AA. If attacking cruisers, both destroyers and cruisers will be able to target your aircraft with AA. If attacking battleships or carriers, all enemy ship types will be able to use their AA, as the aircraft will have to fly over the whole formation to get to the capital ships in the center. Similar to carriers, you can also set up a combat air patrol on the campaign map. Select an airfield and click cap. With a combat air patrol active, the airfield will automatically launch fighters to maintain a defensive pattern, screening against incoming enemy aircraft. Under the airfield is a slider for permitted spotter ranges. Your spotter planes will try to avoid flying into enemy territory unless ordered. You can click and drag the slider to reduce or increase the spotter range from the airfield. Look around.